Just converted, Mike. Toronto's 81 degrees and humid.
Okay, that's not too bad. It's it's in the 90s here.
Oh boy,
It's
we
hot,
might we
hot,
might
hot,
hit it
hot.
yet.
Yeah, it's toasty. Man, I wish Facebook would stop changing everything every hour. I can never find out. Oh, there we are. Wait, no, that's not. Am I live? That's not live. It looks like we're live. At least in the, I'm trying to find it in the boom time just to see. Oh, there we are.
It's live.
Now we're good. Perfect, perfect. Boom, there we are, guys. See yourselves? We are time traveling. Excellent, excellent. I know I got some more people to probably jump on here. So let me go real quick. So first off, let me just jump in. I know I got a couple minutes after. I'll give everybody time to jump off here. I'll take my my dad glasses off for just a second. So we're good. So let me I gotta turn myself all the way down so I don't hear an echo. Also, real quick, I am just going to mute everybody real quick in case anybody comes on while I'm talking. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so first and foremost, thank you guys, ladies and everybody, for jumping on here. I know I didn't give anybody any notice, hardly, and I wanted to, first off, I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, or grandfathers, that kind of thing. And there may even be some people that are watching this live or on replay that are single moms that are carrying the role for both. So happy Mom for Father's Day, or whatever you would want to call that as well. Appreciate that for being on here. I got to see my dad yesterday, so it was pretty awesome, and had a great time with him and his family. We got some other stuff planned this afternoon with some other people. Stacy's got some people in town. Real quick, what I wanted to do is I just wanted to cover a few things, and kind of just, I didn't get to talk to any of you guys really last week, and I just wanted to give you guys some updates on some things that I've heard, some things that I've seen, some all exciting, all good, and just kind of give you kind of a just a real quick thing. I don't plan on being on here for an hour or anything like that today, as normal. So if you're watching this replay, pay attention, and if you have people on here or in your group, the replay will be in boom time on the Facebook Live. If you want to be on here live, you have to join the Zoom, which is healy.click/Zoom to get on here, and so on. So a couple of things real quick is, if you did not watch Holton Buggs on, he kind of impromptu jumped on flight school yesterday. And when I was not able to join early in the morning when it first started, and I caught the last probably 20 minutes. And when I caught the last 20 minutes, he had already been ramped up pretty hard and heavy. And it was kind of, it took me back a little bit about how he was being so bold and so forceful and stuff like that. I didn't know how to take that from a new person's perspective, or if somebody was in networking or not in networking, how to take that. So I had a conversation, Tony Stewart and I had a conversation about it, what were the takeaways, and he told me to go back and watch the whole thing. And after I went back and watched the whole thing, I think it's important for me to kind of give you my 2 cents on Holton, that I appreciate the most. Okay, just so you guys know, this is, I did not necessarily join iBuumerang because of the travel or the business or anything necessarily in that capacity from the beginning. Okay, and let me explain this a little better. I only looked at it because of Holton Buggs. Okay, I looked at it because I knew his track record, and most of you are probably smart enough to realize that success leaves clues. And some of the best business people out there have always recommended that if you want to be successful, you should learn what successful people do and emulate it. Okay. And so when I was first approached with this over a year ago, I didn't know anything about the company. The only thing Tommy Johnson had texted me multiple times was that he'd been on a Zoom. He watched the presentation Holton did. There was a new company he was coming out with, and so on, and that they were going to do some things differently. Okay. Because I've been in a lot of network marketing companies, and I don't have a problem admitting that. Some were great experiences. Some were like, you know, walking through broken glass up a hill, carrying dead bodies. I mean, I don't know how else it was. They were horrible experiences. Okay. They were, you know, you got enthused, you saw something there, and then you went after it. And it was kind of like when you finally figured out who Oz was behind the curtain, it wasn't what you were told in the opportunity meetings and so on. What I've always appreciated about Holton is the fact that he's always been transparent. I've never really heard anything bad said about him. I mean, you can always find bad press about anybody if you do enough digging. You can find bad things about me on the internet, I'm sure, and so on. Okay. So and I'm saying this for a reason, is that the other thing that you're going to realize that I can appreciate, especially in today's atmosphere or climate, especially what's going on in the United States. I know there's quite a few of you that watch this or are in a team that are in the other parts of the world. You kind of see what's going on in the United States. We've got different things that are really, you know, creating chaos, to say the least. What I've always appreciated about Holton is he's not one of those everybody gets a trophy kind of people. I was raised like my dad was the head football coach when I was a freshman, and I didn't start because I wasn't any good. And my dad had no problem not putting me in because I wasn't any good. And I realized that if I wanted to start, I remember he instilled that in me, that it wasn't about lowering the bar so that it was easier to get over. It was about getting better so that I could get over the bar. And I thought that was just stuff that was taught to me in my age. I'm 52, in my age demographic. I know that it seems like a lot of things have changed from you know, what we've all seen and experienced. But Holton's just I think he's in his late 40s, and he was, you know, from the streets, you know, probably had all kinds of other issues that he had to overcome and deal with. He's been very open about his, you know, background of not making any money in network marketing for many, many years. And I can really, really appreciate the fact that he did something, because I've had conversations with, you know, like my wife, Stacy, and hi, Stacy, I think I know you're on here. I saw you come up on Facebook, and I say this lovingly because my wife's very protective of me and things like that, and people in general. She is a very soft, kind heart, and she has a very good intuition and stuff like that. And sometimes when people come across hard or harsh or too direct, it takes her back, because she's a gentle, nurturing kind of thing. I'm more of the rough and tumbly kind of guy, right? You know, I could still eat mud, play in the dirt, that kind of thing. And what I appreciated was she said, well, how was the call? I said, well, Holton was pretty rough. And this was from when I caught the first part of the last 20 minutes, right? So he was already ramped up to his adrenaline running. And what she said was, well, does it feel like he's being, what was the phrase? Not helping, compassionate. Maybe it's compassionate or understanding of what's going on in the climate. Okay. And I thought for a second what she had said, and I said probably, but the thing is here's a guy that has overcome a lot, and there's never going to be any time in your life that you don't have to overcome tough situations and tough circumstances, because everything could be going good with what appears to be everybody else, but you could be dealing with some stuff in your life that you're going to have to overcome. And so I came back to Stacy and I said, well, I said, I understand what you're saying, but maybe it's me, or we have to step it up. Maybe it's me and you have to step it up and do more than what we're doing now, based on not worrying about what everybody else is, because Holton's made $100 million in network marketing. We have not. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? So it's like if you were talking to a coach and so on. So if you ever get on there you have to kind of always and I just kind of, this is just off the top of my head, so somebody has to hear this, is what I've come to realize is that a lot of times, and here's the other thing. This is important. I also said I think I said this to Tony or both Stacy and Tony, is that you have to also remember that 80% of the stuff that's ever going to be built in companies and the big businesses are going to be grown are going to be done and grown by the 20 percenters. In fact, it's probably closer to the 5 to 1 percenters. And so I believe a lot of times when Holton's coming out there, he is not going to grow a multi-billion-dollar company by catering to the masses. He's going to grow a multi-billion-dollar company by speaking to those people that are or see themselves as the 1 percenters. Like, I can appreciate a tough love conversation more than I can someone who justifies my pity party. Okay. And so on. So I also, and it was kind of neat that I'd seen, so Holton did that. And then I think it was yesterday at the same time, I usually read maybe 3 to 5 books at a time. You know, obviously I'm not just laying there as a bookworm or anything, but, you know, I'll read a chapter or a couple paragraphs or whatever on different books, whether it's a Christian, you know, mentorship book or a marketing book or a personal development book. And one of the books that I got recently, you can see this, is called The Way of the SEAL. And it was written by Mark Devine, who's a former Navy SEAL. He's got a big business now and so on, and ran all kinds of ops, special forces. But I posted a picture of this page on my Facebook page. So if you want to reference it, it's on my Michael Healy page. Okay. And this was just perfect timing. It says, let me see if you can see that. It says, embrace the suck. And I was like, okay, I gotta see this. I'm going to read this to you. It says, SEAL trainers often say pain is weakness leaving the body. This encouraging metaphor describes a fascinating alchemy. The transmutation of training-induced pain into confidence when performing, whether on a battlefield, playfield, or in life. Another famous saying in the teams used when the going gets tough is suck it up, right? So as I did during Hell Week, you can embrace the suck, which is the term of, you know, embracing temporary pain to develop a can-do attitude and lean into any hard task without wavering or whining. You don't have to be a Superman or Superwoman. And this was the sentence that jumped out to me. You just have to endure pain better than the average man or woman. So go on my Facebook page later and read the rest of this page right here, because it's got some other things. But you have to just endure pain better than the average man or woman. And I think that's so relevant in networking, is a lot of people don't realize that, is that most of the time we're dealing with emotional stuff first and foremost, right? First and foremost, we are dealing with emotional things that you have to address. And if you don't address those, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to get crushed by the things, but you have to learn to overcome those. Okay. So yes, I see people posting on Facebook on here. So what I came out of that with is this, is networking is, there's lots of network marketing opportunities out there. I see almost all of them. I get pitched by everybody on almost all of them. And I do 100% believe we have a significantly unique opportunity here from day one. Okay. That's why I joined. That's why I have all my chips in this thing. All my cards are in on this thing and so on. And I've worked it the way I have. Okay. All I'm telling you, that if you really truly want to be successful in this business, is that you have to first and foremost embrace the suck, which is that, but follow the lead of what some of these people are doing. Like if you look at, I've mentioned multiple times about chasing mentors versus chasing the money. Okay. Chasing mentors versus chasing the money. And what I mean by that is you have to follow what some of these people are doing. Like when there's a Zoom with a top leader explaining details of how they got to you know, the level that they're at, I would highly recommend that you take the time to watch that. In fact, if you haven't watched it or you didn't take the chance to be on live, Sam Bean I think it was last week, in fact, did that interview with like 6 of us. I was the only non-diamond on there, so I was very honored to be invited on there and so on and things like that. But I have it on the myreptraining.com. I think it's myreptraining.com/Saturday. I did post it in Boom Time, and I broke down each one of the interviews. You had Johnny Wimbrey, you had Michael Jex, you had Jose Luis, you had Jayla Pippins, you had Sam Beam and Kim Beam, and myself. The unique thing that all of us have in common is every single one of us has earned multiple millions of dollars in the industry over years. Okay. I have never made less than a 6-figure income, I don't think, in any company I've been in the last probably 15 or so years. Okay. It's not an accident. It's just things that you learn to do. You learn patterns that work and things like that. And once you've done those things on a repetitive basis, you just get better at them, right? Most of you guys, if you're not really at the level of business success that you see yet, is that you just haven't embraced the suck. And I'm going to use this a few times, enough times that you've gotten into a little bit of a rhythm. Most people, when they join a networking business, they come out of the gates real excited. And typically that's when they're, you know, most enthusiastic, but then the enthusiasm a lot of times will taper down. And that's where most of the $1 million earners are made. Is anybody can join at a 10, and then when your enthusiasm and stuff starts to come down to maybe the 6 level, you can build a multi-million-dollar business at 6 because you stay consistent. What happens is most people don't stay consistent, and their enthusiasm level drops to a 4, and then they stay less consistent, drops to a 2, and pretty soon they disappear, right? And that's kind of the things that happen. Okay. So the other thing that I heard Holton say on there that I thought was really, really good is he was just giving examples of it being a numbers game. This is something you guys have heard me speak about many, many times, that it's just, you know, you work the law, you know, the law of large numbers says that if you do something long enough, a ratio will appear, that the more and more people you talk to, the more and more chance you have of succeeding. Okay. I guess what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw some stuff on a dry erase board real quick, if you don't mind, because I just wanted to show you guys a few things. Let me see if I can get it right in the screen here. Is the one thing is, if you want to kind of see what you should focus on, okay, like what's the income generating activities? What do I have to do to make the most money? How do I build a big business? That kind of thing. There's, you know, you can really complicate network marketing. It can be very easy to complicate it. But I think that if you break it down to its, the most simplistic you can make it, the easier it gets for you to understand what you're doing. Okay. So from an example if you look at this right here, 2x4, that's what that says. You can all see that, correct? 2x4, basically this pattern right here, 2x4, is all you really need to memorize to make as much money as you want, to make a 6-figure annual income, to build a residual income, and so on. And let me explain this. Is when you get into business, 2x4 merely means that this is you, right? And we've got the one on the left and one on the right. Okay. You got one on the left, one on the right. Those are your 2. It all starts with you. Okay. You're the first circle that is the most important. The most important circle on any of this that I'm going to draw out is you, because it all starts with you. Like if there's a bottleneck that there's not thousands of people down here, it's not the people, it starts up here. And you just have to get better at a few small, simple skills, become brilliant in the basics. But all it is 2x4 means literally you help 2 people get in. And as long as they stick around long enough to get 2 people in, this right here is your brick to build your bank. This is all it is, believe it or not. This right here is your brick to build a bank. You can build your bank as big as you want. You can build it as fast as you want or as slow as you want. But getting to who get to, that's why a binary is so is a great compensation plan, because it drives the right, it conditions people to think about the right behavior. Why do they always talk about it takes two, it takes two, it takes two? Because if it takes two here, it takes two here. Because what happens is eventually you've got your two here, then your 4, then 8, then 16, then 32, and then 64, and then 128. Let's say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say that's 7 generations. You can actually get paid 7 levels, right? If you added all these people up, 128 plus 64, it comes out to just over a little over 200 people, if I'm not mistaken. I did math on that a little bit ago. Yeah, it's like 215 or something like that. Okay. If you have 200 people that are, or let's say each month are worth a minimum of $100 in commissionable volume, that's 200 times that is 20,000 times the 10% on average you would make between all these levels, different bonuses. That's a minimum of $2,000 right there. $2,000 in residual income every month, worst case scenario. That did not include any bonuses, any fast starts, any fast start unilevels, and so on. This is just a monthly residual check of this pattern right here being repeated. 2 by 2, 2 by 4, 2 by 4, 2 by 4, 2 by 4, and this is it. Well, you know, what happens if this doubled again, right? If everybody did the 2 right there, 128, you'd literally almost double that number. What happens is people don't realize that this is what the people that have made the most amount of money in networking have understood, is that it's just a numbers game to get to that. So how do you build those numbers? Okay. How do you build those numbers? How do we go? How is this you turn into this? Okay. How do you get your first and second person? Because going back to the basics is something that you always have to stay on. You always have to stay on this, because everything starts, you build a building, you know, you eat an elephant one bite at a time, you build a building one brick at a time. And what this is, what I've come to realize, no matter what, it has never, ever, 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 ever failed, that if I can get a minimum of 100 people, if my goal is to know that I got 100 people to watch a presentation, I don't care what it was, how good it was, how long it was, how short it was, whatever, that I knew that there was a thing they called the law of 100. Okay, the law of 100. Okay, the law of 100 basically is the number that if you get enough people to look at it, you will easily get your 2. And in most cases, most people see between a 5 and 20% minimum percentage. Okay, 5 to 20% minimum percentage of people that enroll, regardless of the tool, regardless of the invite, regardless of thing. As long as I knew that I could get somebody to look at a presentation, okay? And I've read this, I don't know how many times I've read it in very popular, very big, very well-renowned New York Times bestselling books on sales and so on. They all talk about the law of 100. They all talk about saying less to more people and so on. The thing is this 100 right here can be intimidating a lot of times. But the thing is how, if your why is big enough, if your freedom number is big enough, getting 100 people to look at that is usually the only thing that holds people back or pushes them forward. If you put it in your mind what will happen, if you put in your mind exactly what the reward is for getting 100. Because here's the thing, is I mentioned this on a few trainings, and I know other people, is I've never become outcome focused. I've become process focused. Man, I'm glad I remembered that one. I've never become outcome focused, never become outcome focused, always become process focused. And when you can become process focused, outcomes easily happen. Okay. Let's take Mike Tyson, for example, because Mike Tyson's actually been training. He's putting videos out again. He looks like he did when he was 19 years old. He didn't win his fights in the ring. He won his fights when nobody was watching, when he was practicing, when he was doing the basics over and over and over and over and over again as much as he could, so that when the lights shined on him, it was a piece of cake. Okay. If you focus on becoming brilliant in the basics, all the numbers that I showed you take care of themselves. Okay. All the numbers take care of themselves. And I just kind of thought that it was important to kind of go over that. And so on. And I know what I was going to do. I got one other thing written down here that's going to require a dry erase board. Is because here's the thing is, let me see. I think I got this on here. So that's you. You got your 2, right? How we speed the process up is there's these 3 C's called community, culture, and commerce. That's not CCCP. That's not Russian, but that's community, culture, and commerce. Okay. I've always used this analogy of a round swimming pool. This is a round swimming pool. Okay. I'll just get rid of this. This is a round swimming pool. What happens is, let's say this is one of those above ground, 4 foot deep round swimming pools full of water, and you decide that you want to get the momentum going. So there's you by yourself in the pool. Okay. And you start walking on the outside of the pool. Okay. That's you right there. That's you right there. You're walking by yourself. Okay. We're going to erase that. You're walking by yourself and you feel like you are going, it's hard, it's hard, it's hard. You start talking to a few people. You start talking to a few people. You start doing the right activities, start showing the plan. And somebody says, well, they're not crazy. I think I'm going to jump into their pool too. Right? So you got your first one. And we're all walking in the same direction. Okay? Everybody's trying to walk in the same direction. What's happening here is you start talking to some people, some more people, you stayed consistent, and your second person joins. So you got your 2. And now what happens is the momentum in your pool is still not to the point that you're going to be surfing on the water, right? But what happens is this person came on board, this person came on board, and if they start doing the same activities that you do, shoot for that 100, the law of 100, and they get some people in, right? And they get some people in, the water starts to just start going like this. The inertia of the water starts going like this. And what eventually happens is this is where the sweet spot comes, is as your pool, as the momentum of our teams grow, what happens is anybody on the outside, this is going to take our company still probably a few 90 days, 6 months to hit to the point where everybody starts talking about it and you start even hearing about the pool. More and more people will begin to hear about the pool, and pretty soon people just want to jump into the pool without thinking twice about it, because the momentum of what you've created here, when no one else was in the pool with you, has the momentum itself picks up the activity. And I'm seeing some of you guys already doing that. I know you guys, a lot of you on here right now watching this are seeing this happen already in your own organizations. You're getting more people consistent and so on. But you have to go back to the very, very basics of this, of the 2x4, if you just want to remember that. Okay, obviously I always talk about, this is a customer gathering thing. I haven't actually said customers in this whole conversation yet. It's all based around customers, but you create leverage and massive wealth much quicker by leverage, by getting a team built and so on. And when you sell packages, That's where the upfront money is. That's the enthusiastic money that keeps you excited and in the game long enough while your residuals are beginning to grow, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Can I get some head nods? Can I get some head nods? Okay. Because if you guys, if you understand that this is just a numbers game, always say less to more people, focus only on what you can control, not what you can't control. Become brilliant in the basics, be the messenger, not the message. All these core things, these are things that if you just don't deviate from them, it's block and tackle. Everybody probably, most of you probably know who Bear Bryant was. Bear Bryant's the most successful college football coach of all time. And when he would have highly recruited, very good football players be recruited to Alabama, the very first practice he would have and very first thing he would do is he would hold up a football and say, gentlemen, this here's a football. You're going to learn two things on this team, how to block and how to tackle. And he could take your team and take your team, teach them the fundamentals and beat his team, is what a lot of people believe they would say, and which was really a remarkable thing. And I've just learned that by becoming brilliant in the basics, not getting tossed and turned by the waves of the sea all the time, being calm during storms, understanding that a company goes through ebbs and flows at all times. Okay. You will always have, every network marketing company I've ever had, you'll have spikes like this and declines, spikes like this and declines, spikes like this and declines. Okay. We just happen to be in a unique situation where, the world shut off for some, out of nowhere. Right. But what's amazing is we're seeing people all across the world that are doing things and building while they're, in this scenario and so on. So I wanted to get on here and just share some of that with you guys, because I thought it was some good stuff. If you didn't watch Holton's thing, if you just jumped on here later, if you're watching me on state, my wife just posted this. I hope I can show it to you. Can you read that? I can control how many times I kick my husband's butt. Yes, spoken like my true wife. There are no filters in my house, just so you know. Okay, just so you know. So, I think it's important. And I have a handful of you guys on here on Zoom. I think if any of you guys got any comments about anything, I didn't want to take a lot of time. I'm actually going to call out Peter. I'm going to call out Peter out. I'm going to call you out real quick. Okay. And so unmute your thing real quick. Yeah. Let me do speaker view on you so people can see you on Facebook. Good. I see your hair's growing back out. That's cool. Looking good. You've been very consistent. Your business is starting to grow. But you've stayed consistent over this period of time, and it's exciting to start to see the fruits of your labor. A lot of times you got to remember too, plants are going to grow at different speeds. Different plants are going to grow at different speeds. It just doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong or right necessarily. I'm not saying this to you, Peter, but just it popped in my head. But kind of share some stuff with what you've seen since you've been in with the company and the growth, and when you were first in, what you've seen growth wise and so on.
Yeah, I think a big part of this is you have to do the process, because first of all, I learned from you, I learned from Tommy, I learned from all the leaders, because you all bring different things to the table. But if you don't learn anything, understand the math. Because let's say for me right now, I have a massive list that I can either take, 2 weeks to go through the entire list, or take 6 months. Because if you do exposures, and let's say everyone does 100 exposures a month, we're just going to use 100. If you have that access to do it, the only difference is how fast do you get through that list? Because there may be 5 people in that 100 that you get to, and you may put them in 1 week, where it may take somebody 6 months for the exact same thing. And it's just that momentum that you know, you can either choose slowly or fast, but the math is the same. So it's the activity, and it's learning, like for me as I'm going, is I'm hitting these ceilings mentally just with regular life. I feel like this right now, especially with everything going on, hits you at your deepest fearful levels and reveals everything about you as a leader, everything about you as a person, where you're at, and just to recognize those things and to work on, again, the math. It's all about the activity. And I wrote down what you said that I thought was great, the never become outcome focused, because that's me in so many ways, and that's killing me. It's got to be the activity, because if you, it's like the activity is the little bites, but the outcome is this big picture, but you got to do the little bites to get the outcome. So
Totally.
I don't know. I just think if you understand, you don't have to be in sales, you don't have to be in anything, but if you understand the basic math, just like you said, the law of 100, if you hit 100 people, your average is, it could be 5%, it could be 10%. Like you may be talking to somebody or 100 people, and you may personally sponsor 20. In my skill set, I may sponsor 5 or 10 with the same numbers, but frankly, it doesn't matter if I want to compete with you or anybody else. I just have to put in more numbers until I improve my skills. So it's just kind of putting all this together, but again, it's the activity, and the math is the math, whether you go fast or slow, it's still the basic math.
100%. Thank you so much, Peter. That was fantastic. Let me see, Mick and Darlene. I'm gonna call on you guys next on here real quick.
Hey, so, Mike, how you doing?
Good, good.
Okay.
Let me speak.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah,
happy Father's Day. Back at you guys. Yeah, back at you and stuff like that. I like your background.
Yeah, I just got that from Canada just now.
yeah. That's fantastic. That's awesome. You guys have been. It's been fun to watch you guys from afar. I mean, you guys never really, you don't even reach out to me for any kind of help, which is cool. You know, to me, that's like, it's so cool to see people get out of the nest, go after it, know that they're taking responsibility, partnering up together, you know, making things happen and so on. And you guys have been extremely consistent. You're on the leaderboard for the World Series and things like that. Based on some of the stuff I said today, what would you have that you either agree with, disagree with, are doing this working, anything like that? Throw something out there. Maybe not anything you disagree with. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Well, Mike, I'm really tired of hearing. No, but go ahead.
Well, Mike, to be honest with you, totally agree with everything that you said. I mean, we listened to Holton yesterday as well, and I just thought it was phenomenal, and it's something that we all need to be reminded of. We all feel we're playing a game at a certain level, and we think we're doing okay. I mean, both of us said this. We were watching, we're like, we can do better than we're doing, you know. And it's just a matter of just leveling up a little bit more. And it's all about consistency. I mean, Peter just mentioned. I mean, it's funny that Peter just came on because he's the guy that actually sponsored me, and it was Cole Market, and he talks about consistency. And it's so true because I didn't know this guy, and he hit me up on LinkedIn like a few months ago, and it was consistent. I wasn't really sort of knocking him back. I'm never nasty to people, but he was interested. He was a good guy, and he kept coming back. Then he took me over to Facebook, and he got me in the business. And he just goes to show this all about consistency. I mean, Darlene didn't even know about the business. I went ahead and did it because I didn't want her to say no. And I figured she was out of town. I'm like, okay, you know what? She doesn't know what I've seen because I dove right into it. And you know, if you can be consistent and make sure that you're not just plugged in. Being plugged in is one thing, but you've got to also make sure that you being plugged in isn't 90% of what you're doing. The activity is important. It's okay getting that knowledge from all the leaders. I mean, I've never seen such great training. I mean, I've been in network marketing for 10 years myself, but the training that this company has from the diamonds yourself, and and everyone. I mean, you can actually get ahead. The reason why we don't contact you, Mike, is that we don't feel we need to at this point.
You put a lot of content out there.
You've got a lot of content that helps us do things ourselves. And then if you plug into the system and you look at the basic training, then you've got inviting by Bernstein, you've got exposure by Daniel Camero. And what we're doing right now is that we're actually meeting with our new reps, and we're telling them to, okay, watch this, watch this, watch
exactly what you do.
Exactly what you do. It's like we send them what to watch, and then we say, hey, tell us the top 3 things that you learned from this video, Then it's in their heads all the time, and then it's a lot easier. It's just a matter of being plugged in.
Yeah, we're not reinventing any wheel. We're just following the system. We're following how you do it. We're just, throwing trainings out that's already there. We don't need to develop anything. We're just leading people to the right place and duplicating that, and then also doing the work ourselves, right? So we're not just telling people to do these things. We're still doing it. We're still recruiting. And we're right there along with our team. And I think that's what makes it makes it cool.
Yeah, we brought in 20 personals, so we're not sort of just managing people. I mean, we're doing the work and we're assisting people. We want them to get to rank up. We're recognizing them. We've got a Telegram group for the entire team. Then we've got like a Telegram leader group for those that have actually brought someone in the business. So we're recognizing them as well, and we're just working with it, recognizing them at that level, also recognizing them on your forum, obviously Boom Time,
right.
and the same thing with iBoom Global. So it's working out really well. I mean, we're plotting everything here on the wall, and we should be Sapphire by the end of the month. We really should be Sapphire by the end of the month, and I mean that's our goal. And
we're close.
We're going to do it. You know what? In fact, it's not that we've got a chance of doing it. We're going to do it.
Yeah, we already told ourselves it's in the bag.
We're at 7,800 QV, 7,800 QV right now. We've got a lot of things happening. I'm going to get on the phone at 3 with someone from the UK.
We actually have calls right after each other after this one.
We've got a launch at 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday with someone on the other side of the world at 3:30. It's so like we're doing the work. We want this to happen.
We don't sleep.
So we're leading by example. We're really leading by example, and we've got a great team, and we just want to win, and we want our team to win with us. It's as simple as that.
That's so good. That's so good. I actually am so happy that you brought up how you got in through Peter. I actually was thinking about actually doing a video where I interviewed everybody to find out not how they're recruiting, how they got recruited. I thought that would be a really cool thing so people could hear how so I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's such a good point that Peter just, without you guys realizing, this wasn't scripted or anything, the example of doing the right activity, staying consistent with the right activity, just introducing people again and again and again, that some people were going to go, you know what, this makes sense. I raise my hand. I want in.
Right.
And you guys are perfect examples.
Funny story too, Mike, is that once we were in, I was on flight school. This was maybe the first month or so. And a guy on flight school hit me up, and he's on my Facebook. He's from the UK. He's like, Are you in iBuumerang? I'm like, yeah. So I looked at the direct message that I had with him. He hit me up April of last year, way before Peter, but he only hit me up once, and it was weak. It was a weak hit. You know what I mean? It was. I don't really know this guy that well, but he was on my Facebook, and he sent me a direct message, but it was really weak, and I'm like, nah, that's okay. And then he saw me. He's like, what are you doing here?
Wow.
Yeah, so he's asking me all questions. So what did that guy do? He said it was just consistency. He was there every few weeks or so. It hit me up, maybe a month, a few weeks, and it was just consistent. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's perfect. So, well, awesome. Well, thank you guys for being on here and keeping up the good work. I know we're running out of time here because I thought that I was going to do some stuff, but I see all you guys on here. I know Tony, Janice, I see you, Kelly, Philip, Sharon, Nancy, Gord, Mel, Peter, Joseph. I can't see how many different people are on viewing Facebook. But I would tell you this, that you guys are learning some gold nuggets here, some really good content. on a regular basis. I appreciate you coming on here on Father's Day with no notice hardly again. I'm going to try to be, I actually want to put more stuff out there. I know I already have stuff out there. I try not to overwhelm you guys by being on all these a lot of times and stuff like that. That way they're a little more unique. I'll try to give you guys a little more advanced notice, but you know how that goes. You know, so when my wife just said, all of you are so inspiring, all of you, not just everybody, you know, that kind of thing. All of you are so inspiring. And it's important that you guys get on these and stuff like that. People can see, you know, you're learning every time, you're getting better and so on. But I really appreciate you guys. It's awesome to have you guys on the team and things like that. And, you know, don't put yourself down where you're at. Just figure out where you're going to go. Okay. Take every day, at one day at a time, only focus on one day at a time, and it won't be as overwhelming. Okay. A lot of times you look at the past and judge yourself there, or you see people that are way ahead of the game, you know, and you judge yourself with them. Just focus on what you can control. Bible says, focus on today. You know, it says, you know, don't take a lot of thought into tomorrow. You know, today's got enough worries of its own kind of thing, but take captive what you have today, and so on, and you're going to be fine. And just so you guys know, I do pray for you guys a lot too as well. You know, I throw out some prayers not every once in a while, but most of the time, if it pops into my head, things like that, you know, because I know what we're all going through. I know this is a crazy time, especially people can be overwhelmed with what they're dealing with and so on. And, you know, I know there's a lot of people out there that are, you know, that maybe praying about you don't know about it, that kind of thing, that we all appreciate those things. In my opinion, you can't hurt to get enough prayer on there. So you guys are all blessed and highly favored. Bible says that I know the plans I have for you. They are a good future and a good hope. Good future and a good hope. Good future and a good hope. Okay. And I appreciate every one of you guys for being on here. Tony, you got a big smile on your face. Look at you go, buddy. It's all good. So I'm gonna unmute everybody. Let me see if I can do this. I gotta go to the chat. Cancel. I can't find the unmute button. Participants.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you guys might have to unmute yourself. Usually I have an unmute all.
I unmuted myself. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody. You shared great content.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank
As
you.
always.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for being on
you.
Father's Day, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it,
Father's
guys.
Day to all the fathers.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Everybody.
Appreciate it. Happy Father's Day. Happy Mother's Day to people that are single moms, that kind of thing. So you're all good.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
You are welcome. Everybody have a great one. And we'll see you on the next one. Keep it up. See you guys.
Thank you, Mike.
See you, Mike. Thanks.